Hey there, I just want to see if everyone can see me, hear me. Let me know if you guys can see me. Hey guys, it's Nika here. I am so glad you guys are joining me. We're here for the Goal Planning for 2020 workshop. I'm going to give everybody just a minute to sign on, get into the workshop, get settled. If you haven't already, please make sure that you download the free documents that go along with this. There's some worksheets that you can use to set your goals, and we'll go through them a little bit. But go ahead and download those now. You can see them in the links that I've included in the comments as well. But I'm going to go ahead and give everybody just a few minutes to get on, and then we'll get started. Thank you. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I am so grateful that you guys are joining me today. Again, we are going to be doing a free live training for goal planning for 2020, and my name is Nika Lori, and I promise you this really is just a free training. I am not trying to sell you anything, so I do hope that you stay till the end. But let's go ahead and get started. Feel free to comment in the box if you have any questions along the way. If not, be sure to email me. You can always reach me at info@nikalori.com. That is also in the comment box as well. So I hope everyone can hear me. Let me know in the comments if there's any issues. But otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. So let me tell you guys a little bit about myself. So first off, my name is Nika Lori, and I am a business strategist, and I am the CEO of Insergo Creative and the founder of the Influencer Social Club. And so I'm going to tell you real quick just about both of those organizations and what they do. But again, I'm not trying to sell you guys anything. I just want to let you guys know who I am and what I do before we get into the goal setting process. So Insergo Creative is a boutique digital and creative services agency, and so we work with small businesses all over the place. We help with branding and marketing. We do a lot of digital marketing. We do graphic design and website design. We do a lot of content creation, so we manage social media accounts, all kinds of fun things, but we work with small businesses, and ideally we help them grow and reach new audience, build new revenue streams, and just be awesome in general. And then I am also the founder of the Influencer Social Club. So that is a monthly subscription or a membership. It's ideally for entrepreneurs, but anyone that wants to join is always welcome. And what we do is we provide expertly curated action guides and master classes every month. And they are specifically designed to help businesses grow or improve their strategic plan, and also to help them cultivate opportunities or connect with others in order to grow an audience, increase awareness, and just build really great lasting relationships and partnerships. All of these action guides and master classes are built specifically to help grow awareness, create better impact, or grow revenue. And so a lot of times we do things about marketing or specific tools that you can use, how to grow your social media presence, how to network better, how to connect with all different kinds of people. And so they're really cool. I hope you guys will check it out. But that's my little basic pitch. That's all I'm getting into today. So I want to go ahead and get into the actual presentation today. But as I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and my back history, because I think it's really important that you understand where I'm coming from and the transformation I've gone through, and how I've used this goal setting process to make that successful. So bear with me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, but I think, again, it's really, really important in the big picture. So I should have flipped to this slide first, but I haven't. I'm a little cheesy, and you guys are just going to have to deal with it. I hope that's okay. But as I get started, I'm going to tell you about the story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. Y'all love the Fresh Prince. I still love that show. But anyways, let me tell you a little bit about my story. So I was a 15-year-old honor student when I actually dropped out of high school and I moved out on my own. It was a really traumatic time in my life. Being 15 alone is traumatic, but let alone dropping out of school and moving out on your own, it's a whole thing. But just to add to that, I had a pretty interesting incident happen as I was leaving school. One of my English teachers, or my English teacher, actually told me as I was signing out of the class for the last day that I was going to be nothing better than a streetwalker because I was dropping out of school. And she was kind enough to tell me that in front of my entire class. And at the time, it was completely mortifying and heartbreaking, and I was devastated that she said that. But it actually was a real motivating factor for me because it helped me get really motivated to continue on with my education. And I went on to actually finish high school. I actually got my GED, I homeschooled, and then I also went on to get 2 degrees. I have a degree in communication and mass communication and journalism, and a degree in psychology. And so it was actually turned into a really motivating factor, what she said. So the next one I want to tell you about is my experience in New York and LA. So after I left high school, I started college when I was about 16, and then I quickly there moved to New York and then spent some time in Los Angeles as well. And I worked in the entertainment industry, both in film and music. And while I was there, it was a pretty amazing experience in both cities. But again, it was really difficult. I was there, I was young, I was by myself. I didn't have friends or family there, so I really had to kind of figure it out as I went. And in those big cities, you're often told that you're not going to make it in a big city. You're a small fish in a really big pond. And, I didn't come from the right family. I didn't come from the right community. And I was also a woman. And, I was told I wasn't going to succeed because I was a woman multiple times. And so that was a big struggle. But again, I used those tools as a way to empower myself, and I actually went on to work on several major films. I was head of A&R for a music publishing company, and one of the things I'm most proud of is I actually started my own music review website, which at the time we had 40,000 plus unique visits per day, and I had 40 different contributors from all over the world. It was really, really cool, and I was really proud of that. So continue on a little bit. After I left New York, I went to Los Angeles. After I left Los Angeles, I actually moved back to my hometown, which is Albuquerque, New Mexico, mostly because I love it here. I think it's beautiful and amazing. But I spent nearly a decade working as the development director for a nationally recognized nonprofit here. And while it was an incredible experience, I ran into some very difficult coworkers who were oftentimes not very nice to me. They would say things like I wasn't good enough, I wasn't raising enough money, I was a poor manager, or I didn't work hard enough, or I just needed to be better. And the good thing was that wasn't coming from my superiors. It was never coming from my direct supervisor or my boss, but it was coming from coworkers who weren't always very nice to me. And that made it really emotional and really difficult, and something that took a lot of work for me to overcome. But again, I used those motivating factors to prove those people wrong and really do the best job I could. And I'm really proud to say that in the time that I was there, I helped double our annual revenue. I went from 1.3 million a year supporting a staff of 11 to when I left, we were over 2.5 million a year, and we supported a staff of 17. So it was something I was really, really proud of. I really gave it my heart and soul and worked hard on it. So I'm going to tell you two more things about myself. So I have a beautiful daughter. She's 4.5, and she's just a little ball of fire and amazing. But when I was pregnant, I unfortunately had to have an emergency C-section, and we weren't sure what was wrong, but we knew something was wrong. And unfortunately, my daughter was diagnosed with an extremely rare heart condition. So rare, in fact, that only 0.00000027% of Americans have it. And most of those people don't even get diagnosed with it until they're in their 50s or 60s and they have heart failure symptoms. We, on the other hand, were actually really lucky that it was diagnosed so early, because we get to make sure she's okay and watch her very closely and follow along with her medical needs. But it was a really, really difficult thing to have happen, especially as soon as she was born. Originally, we were told that they didn't know what was wrong with her. And then eventually they were told, or we were told that she has a condition, but it's so rare that they don't have doctors locally that can help her. At one point, we were even told that there's a 95% chance that she'll need a heart transplant at some point in her life. And while this was completely devastating as a parent and absolutely terrifying, I again used it as a motivational factor to become a mama bear. I fought for my child every step of the way. I told doctors no when my gut said things weren't right. I educated myself on what to expect. I researched and found experts to talk to. And I every day continue to raise my daughter carefully, and I protect her day by day. And I'm so glad to say that she is strong and healthy and doing great. And while we do watch her closely, she's an amazing little kid, and we're just so grateful that she's doing as well as she is. And so the last thing I want to tell you about my back history is that I spent nearly a decade with my daughter's father, and he is a wonderful human being, but sadly, due to two extremely unfortunate accidents, he is unable to provide for her. And he is still in her life and very active, and we're very close, but he isn't able to provide for her the same way the average everyday father would be able to. And during these accidents, they were really detrimental and emotional. And at one point, we were even told that he may not make it. And through the whole process, you really just have to figure out how to go on. We just went on. And so it was really difficult and hard, but we've survived. And again, I'm so grateful to say that he is still with us and he's doing very well. And we're just very blessed and very lucky. So you're probably asking, why am I telling you all of this stuff? Why am I telling you all these crazy things that have happened in my life when this is a presentation about goal setting? Well, there's a really good reason for it. The reason is because struggles happen to everybody. We all struggle. We all have really hard things that happen in our life, but the key is to take those things, those struggles, and learn the key valuable lessons from them and use those to inspire us to make major changes in our life, to set goals for ourselves and to achieve them. Use those lessons to motivate you every day to hit your goals and to make the change and transformation you want to have in your life. So I'm going to run through a couple of the really key lessons that I've learned in my life. A couple of them we'll just go over, and then a couple of them we'll actually hit on a little bit more later on in the presentation. So I hope you guys really find these as useful and motivational and transformational as I have. So the first one, and this is probably the most important one, is life is a blessing. It is not a guarantee, and we should treat each and every day with the respect it deserves. And this one I learned wholeheartedly from both what occurred with my daughter and what occurred with her father. And the key takeaway that I took from that, and I love this quote, is that you'll never start if you start tomorrow. So if you put things off till tomorrow, you're always going to use that as an excuse. Oh, I'll start tomorrow. Oh, I'll start next week. Oh, I'll start in January 1st, 2020. You keep putting it off, and it gives you an excuse to not act on those things today. So I'm going to challenge you to respect the day you have today, because there is a possibility it could be your last. So if you don't start working on the goals that you want to work towards or the transformation that you want to work towards, you may be losing out on that opportunity. So take advantage of the day and the time you have today and start today. That's why we're doing this today. I'm excited. Okay, the next one, and this is the one that everybody needs to hear. People struggle with this all the time, and it drives me freaking crazy. And it's something that I know I've struggled with too, but basically I just throw my hands up and I say, you know what? Doesn't matter if I don't think I'm good enough. I'm doing it anyways. So here's the key. Please drive this home. You are good enough. Say it to yourself, I am good enough. I am good enough for whatever it is I want to do in life. And you are good enough to do whatever it is you want to do in life too. Don't ever let yourself or anyone else convince you otherwise, because you are good enough. I promise you that. Okay, moving on. If you don't set your own expectations and values for life, somebody else will do it for you. And I really learned this the hard way. I have struggled for years trying to make other people happy or doing a career that I thought, society or my family or whomever thought was the best path for me. And what I realized going down that path was that I wasn't happy because it wasn't matching my values. It wasn't matching my expectations for life. And so what I had to do was take a step back and really set my own expectations and my own values for life. And so I'm going to challenge you today to do the very same thing. And we're going to get into that a little bit later in the process. But I really challenge you to really start thinking about what your expectations for your life are, what your goals are, what your values are, and start making note of those things. Okay, this is a big one. We're going to get into this in deep dive a little bit later on in the presentation, but this was a complete game changer for me, and it really helped me manage my mindset from day to day. And the thing to know is that our beliefs are not the same thing as the truth. The things that we're telling ourselves every day are not necessarily facts. They're things that we're believing. They are not hard, cold facts or truth. And so I'll give you some examples of those a little bit later in the presentation, but keep this in mind that beliefs are not the same thing as the truth. Okay, and this is a big one too. So each one of us is 100% responsible for who we are, the life we live, and the impact we make in the world. So if you want to make change in the world, you take responsibility for that. If you want to change something that's happening in your life, you need to take responsibility, 100% responsibility to make the commitment to make that change happen. If you want to change who you are, you need to take responsibility in owning that and making that change happen. This can be such a freeing thing when you decide to take 100% responsibility for yourself, your life, and your actions. It removes so many other BS things that we use to hold ourselves up as excuses. So I'm challenging you today to take 100% responsibility for yourself and your actions and the impact that you make in the world. Okay, so here's a big one, and this is the one I think a lot of people struggle with because it has to do with confidence and not feeling good enough. It goes back to the one where I am good enough, that kind of thing, but it really goes back to people struggling with confidence. So you do not need to be perfect to start doing amazing things. And it's really important to understand that everyone starts at zero. Everyone starts at that first little step, and then they work at it and they practice and they get better, and that's when they become excellent, and that's when they gain the confidence. Confidence is not something that you're innately born with. Confidence is something that you gain from putting in hard work, from practicing, from learning, from doing the day-to-day tasks in order to get closer to whatever it is you want to be really confident in or be an expert in. So I'll give you a real life example of this. So think about Kobe Bryant, right? So NBA champion, considered one of the best basketball players of all time. Well, when he was young, when he was a kid, there was a point where he picked up a basketball for the very first time. He was not world renowned at that time. He was not the best player ever. He was just some kid picking up a basketball for the very first time. But he picked up that basketball thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And he put in hours and hours and hours of practice. And he did step by step by step, working towards becoming the expert, becoming the confident player that he was and is. And so he started at point zero, just like you may be too. So don't be hard on yourself when you don't feel like you're good enough to do something that you want to do. The only reason you're not good enough is because you haven't started yet. You haven't put in the work yet. So take the baby steps today to start working towards whatever it is that you want to be great at. And you will gain that confidence as you go along. I'll give you one more example. Doing these presentations can be terrifying. Your nerves are high, you're sweating, you're freaking out the whole time. once you start doing them, you become much more comfortable as you go through the process. And so step by step, every single time I do one of these, I get a little bit more comfortable, and a little bit more comfortable, and a little bit more confidence in myself in front of a camera. And so it's practice. Every single time I work at doing this, I get a little bit better and a little bit more confident. So if I can do it, I'm just the average everyday person. If I can do it, you can do it too. So don't be too hard on yourself, and understand that everybody starts at point zero, and that confidence is built over time. Okay, so I got two more for you, and then we'll actually get into the goal setting. So we have been taught to design our lives around our careers when it really should be the other way around. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit as we go forward. But I want people to really think about that. I want you to really understand what I'm saying. We have been taught to design our lives around our careers when it should be the other way around. We should be looking at what kind of life we want to live and how we want to impact the world and what kind of person we want to be, and not as much what kind of career and thing we want to have. So we spend all this time going through school. We spend all this time going to college. We look at all the degrees we want to have. We're taught to become really successful, become a CEO in our job or our career, whatever it is. And that is what we use as a guiding path for designing our life, is whatever our career is going to be, whatever job we're going to have. And then we take, everything else that matters in our life. So our family, our passions, our interests, all of those things, and we put them to the side, and we squeeze them into a Saturday and maybe Sunday if we have some time. And that's it. Maybe a 2-week vacation twice a year. We squeeze all of the other stuff that matters into that small little period. Well, I think, and I'm going to challenge you to think differently too, that life should be the other way around. I really think that we should start challenging people to design the type of life they want to have, the type of experiences they want to have, the way they want to manage their time, and then build a career or a business that works within that. So I'll talk a little bit about how I use this concept to transform my life and kind of rework things. So the last thing, and this is really, really important, is I'm going to challenge you to live life on purpose. Do everything you do purposefully. Don't just live, and let things happen to you. Don't just buy things on a whim or let people treat you a certain way without, standing up for yourself. Really do things with intent, with purpose, and with a thought out plan. Live your life on purpose. Don't just let it happen to you. Okay, so what does all this stuff that I learned mean? Why am I telling you all of this? Well, I'm telling you this because going through the experiences that I've had through my life, the things that have been really challenging to me, brought me to a point of kind of make or break. I hit a point of really dark depression and a point of anxiety and just a point where, why is life so hard? I didn't understand why these things kept happening. And what I realized is two things. Is one, I cannot control what's going to happen in my life, but what I can do is I can control how I react to it and how I let it affect my life. And the other thing I can do is make purposeful decisions to actually design my life, design a life that I want to have. And so I'm going to challenge you to do the same thing today. So what I did is I stopped and I took a minute to actually look at my current situation. I took time to really assess what my personal values are. And when I say values, I mean things like, what was the most important thing to me? Is it spending time with my family? Is it spending time with my child? Is it going to my child's recital or activities? Is it having free time to be with myself and just process things and enjoy life? What are my values? What are the most important things to me? And then I really spent some time to think about what kind of impact I want to have on this world, or what kind of impact I want to make in this world. And while I worked for some really amazing organizations and companies and I was doing really cool things, I realized that I was not having the impact that I wanted to have in the world. I was not changing the lives of people the way I wanted to change them. I wasn't putting that positive energy out there. I also realized that I didn't own my time. I didn't have control over, what I was able to do Monday through Friday. Or I realized that I only had Saturday and Sunday to do the things that I really wanted to do. I wasn't always able to go to my child's recitals and events because I had obligations through a company that I worked for. And so I stopped and I took real time to actually design my life. And what I realized from all of this and looking at it was that my current situation where I was working for 9 to 5, doing all these things, working for other people, stressing out about stuff, did not match what life I actually wanted to have. So I took drastic steps. I made drastic plans and huge goals for myself, and I started working towards them. And yes, while it took time, and yes, it wasn't overnight, I have started to achieve massive transformation in my life. And if I can do it, you can do it too. So what did I do? I left my 9 to 5. I started my own business and I took complete control over my schedule and my time. And I use that now to spend time with my family and have free time to do the things that I want to do. Go see a movie in the middle of the week or go on a vacation with my significant other or my daughter or family members. I get to do the things I want to do. Now, mind you, I still really work hard and I work really hard for my clients, but I get to do it on my time and do it the way I want to do it. And so taking that time to design your life, you start to see the gaps between who you currently are and where you want to be. So that's where we get into starting to rethink about how to build your life. And that's where we get into the transformation and the goal setting process. So I'm going to challenge you today to rethink what's possible in your life. You can redesign a career around the life that you want to have, not the other way around. You can define what your own success is. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a CEO of a company to be successful. It doesn't mean that you have to make $100,000 or $250,000 or $1 million a year in a salary to be considered successful. Success is whatever you determine is going to make you happy. It's whatever makes you feel good in your life. That is what success really, truly is. And then the other thing is to understand that you can find clarity. Sometimes the hardest thing is to figure out what it is you actually want in life. I have struggled with this my whole life, and sometimes I still do. But I tell you, going through this process, I've really, really been able to learn what it is that I'm passionate about and what matters most to me. I've been able to find that clarity that has been so elusive and that I've so desperately wanted. You can find the clarity, and then you can also achieve the goals. And then by achieving those goals, you will create lasting transformation in your life. You will be able to change your life like you never thought possible. So are you guys excited? Because this is where it is time to design your life. We're going to go through this goal setting process, but it's not just for setting a specific goal and reaching it and then that's it. This is really about designing your life and making those lasting transformations that just make you happy and excited and passionate about what you're doing with the time you have on this beautiful earth. Okay, you guys ready? Yes? Okay, awesome. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do self and lifestyle today. They're two different things. So I have a list of questions that I want you to answer. And we're going to do two separate things here. The first we're going to do is design your dream self. And then we're going to do an assessment. And then we're going to do design your dream lifestyle. And then we're going to do an assessment. So let me walk you through this just a little bit. I'm going to take a quick sip of water because I've been talking a lot. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so designing your dream self. This is really important. It's all about sitting down and taking some time to really get focused and figure out what it is that you want. This is where the clarity process comes in. And before you start doing this activity, I really want you to think about something. There are no wrong answers. So remove all of the things that our culture has told you that you need to think about or do or whatever. remove all of the stigma, remove all of the influences from maybe your parents or family members or friends or colleagues, whomever. Remove all of that, get it all out, and just focus on what you actually want. And so I have some questions here. You can come up with other ones. This is just kind of to help you brainstorm and to think about some topics. But get out a piece of paper and literally just brain dump everything. Write everything down on a piece of paper. There's no, right or wrong answers. Doesn't have to be organized. But just think about some of these things. So what does your ideal mindset look like? Is it calm, clear, focused? What does ideal happiness look like? What does ideal health look like? Energy levels, physical abilities. What does your confidence level look like? Ideal body look like? Shape, relaxed, dressed up. What kind of clothes do you wear? Self-care, diet, exercise, legacy, and purpose. Think about all those things. Write those things down. You can use the questions that I've put on the screen here to help you. But think about all those things and write those down on a scratch piece of paper. Put them all over the place. No, don't worry about organizing them. Just get them out. Brain dump everything. Spend some real time doing this. I would suggest 20 or 30 minutes. You can do less, you can do more, whatever it is until that brain is completely empty and everything is out on paper. After you've done that, the next thing you want to do is an assessment of your current self. And so ask yourself the same kind of questions that you asked previously for your dream self, but do an assessment on where you currently are for each of those things. And same thing, do a brain dump. Or maybe if you take your dream self sheet, draw a little line or a little arrow to each one and say, currently, this is where I'm actually at. Currently, my health isn't great. I would like to fix X, Y, Z about it. Currently, maybe I'm not making as much money as I would like, but I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Or currently, I don't exercise as often as I would like to. I only do it once a week, and then you look back at your dream self and it's maybe 5 times a week. So again, match all of those up, connect them, and really take a serious, truthful assessment of what your current self is. Once you've done that, look at where those gaps are. So let's use the exercise for an example. So maybe your dream self for exercise is 5 days a week. You work out for 30 minutes or an hour for those 5 days a week. But currently, you're lucky if you're only doing it once a week, maybe twice a month, whatever it is. Look at whatever that gap is. Figure out what those gaps are for all of those things, because those are going to be your goals. That's how you start to pull out what clarity is. That's where you start to figure out what it is that you really need to focus on. And from there, you're going to pick one. Just pick one of those gap to goal kind of things at a time. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. You have a lifetime to start working on these things, but you want to pick one today to start working on, just one. So we're going to go into lifestyle now, so you can do the exact same thing. So again, go through these questions. So think about, ideal hobby, free time. What does your ideal car look like? Experiences like travel, vacation, adventures. What does your ideal relationship look like? Income, home, family life, time with friends, financial situation, and think about what your lifestyle values are. So again, brain dump everything. You can ask other questions or think about other things as well, but get that all down onto a piece of paper. And then do the same thing. Do an assessment for your current lifestyle and match those up and figure out where the gaps are. What are you from where you're currently at to where you'd like to be. And again, that's where you find that clarity. That's where you figure out where those goals are. And again, pick one. So you can pick a lifestyle goal today and a self goal today, or you can just pick one goal today. You don't have to pick one from both. It really kind of depends. I really suggest start with one goal. And then once you get through the process of starting with the one goal, you can then work on other goals as well. But pick one to start for today. After you do that, we're going to look at the goal setting process. And this is where those downloads, the worksheets that I sent you guys, really come into play. So I hope that you have already downloaded them, but I'm going to move over to one to show you what it looks like here. So we're going to go to page 1. So I hope you guys can see this. Let's see. Okay, so goal setting worksheet, page 1. So this is the first sheet that I'm going to have you guys work on. So you can see a section here that says goals. So after you pick that one single goal, you're going to want to write it in here. And then you look at the type of goal. You can write self, lifestyle, or business. You could also put career here. The reason business is on this worksheet is I tend to work with entrepreneurs who either are starting businesses or want to start businesses or are growing their business. And so I tend to do a worksheet or a assessment process for business as well. But since this is a broader group today, I did not include that. But you can still use this for your business, and it's the exact same process. But just type in either self or lifestyle, whichever the goal fits. The next thing is you want to start thinking about the goal range. Is this a short-term goal or is it a long-term goal? An example, a short-term goal is something that you could probably finish in the next 30 days, 90 days, even 180 days. A long-term goal is going to be something more like 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Now, if it's a 5 or a 10-year goal, I highly suggest you actually break those out into smaller goals because 10 years is a really big thing. So an example would be starting my business. So that's a big long-term goal, right? Like growing my business. There are 1,000 micro goals that fit into that business. So you really want to kind of narrow that down into a smaller goal that you can reach. So just think about long-term versus short-term. This is kind of just arbitrary. It's something to just kind of make you think. The next thing to do is then pick a due date for this goal. So I highly suggest that you pick goals that you can accomplish within the next 90 days or 6 months. It gives you long enough time that you can actually accomplish something, but not too long that you lose sight of the end or that you forget or you lose your motivation. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on too. So the next thing after that is you want to start coming up with some reasons for the goal, the reasons that you want to hit the goal. So let's go back to the exercise as an example. Exercising, a reason you might want to do it is because you're going to be healthier doing it. It's good for you. It helps you live longer and have a more fulfilling, healthy life. You might look better. You might lose some weight and feel better, and you might feel more comfortable in your clothes. Whatever those reasons are, it's really up to you. It's just think about reasons that motivate you to hit that goal, positive reasons. On the flip side of that, and this might actually be more important, and again, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but think about the consequences of not achieving those goals. Come up with 5 to 10 examples of what the consequences are of not achieving whatever the goal is. So again, I'll use the example of starting my business. Well, one of the consequences of not starting my business would be I still have to work for somebody else where I'm unhappy and not super passionate, or I might not be as motivated. I don't have control over my time. I might miss activities with my child, things like that. So you want to think about consequences of not achieving the goal. And oftentimes these are much more motivational or inspirational to kind of encourage you or push you to actually reach that goal or attain that goal. So the next step after that is to start thinking about the steps you need to achieve that goal. What are the actual step-by-step processes that you need to do in order to achieve that goal? So let's use an example of building a website. Maybe you want to build a website so you can blog, or you want to build a website so you can sell soaps or lotions or things that you make at home, whatever it is. Just think of a website as an example. So the first thing you need to do is figure out where you want to host that website. So, you could use Squarespace or Bluehost, or, there's a countless number of them. Or you could find a website designer to actually design the website for you and help you figure out the hosting. The next thing you need to think about, so the next step is what kind of content do you want on the website? What is the purpose of the website? Is it to sell something? Is it to post blog articles? Is it to share music and things that you're doing? Start thinking about the type of content and the kind of structure that you want to have for that website. After that, you then have to either start building the website or have your designer start building the website and putting that content on there. So you have to actually create the content, and each page needs content. So maybe you say the home page, and the next step is the about page, and then the next step is the contact us page. And then you want to actually, the final step is launching the page and then promoting the page, marketing it as well. And so figuring out, I just want to make sure you guys can see me. It kind of looked like it dropped out for a second. Okay, I think we're good. So anyways, figuring out what each and every one of those steps are. And then last but not least, and again, we'll talk about this a little bit at the end, but I want to make sure that you guys are celebrating the achievement. Once you reach that goal, how are you going to celebrate this? And just do a little thing. Maybe it's dinner with the family. Maybe it's a whole entire launch party, whatever it is. Just figure out how you achieve it. We do not celebrate achievements enough in our lives. And so it's really important that you guys take time to do that. Okay, so back to our slideshow here. So the next thing is to find clarity on your goal. Again, taking a sip, sorry. So you want to think about, who do I need to be? What do I need to believe? And am I 100% committed to this goal? And I'm going to stop you guys right here. If you pick a goal and you are not 100% committed to it, the odds of you achieving it are very, very slim. So you really want to make sure that you pick a goal and draw a line in the sand and say, this is it. I am doing this. No ifs, ands, or buts. Because if you're able to do that, that is a driving home motivational factor. And if you're still struggling being 100% committed to the goal, maybe go back and rethink about the reasons for achieving the goal and the consequences for not achieving a goal. And if those aren't a motivational enough factor, maybe you haven't deep dived enough. Or maybe you've deep dived all the way to the bottom and you still aren't 100%. Maybe this isn't the right goal for you to focus on. So just something to consider. Really make sure that you're 100% committed to those goals so that you can keep that motivation and excitement and inspiration going moving forward. So there is a worksheet here. So this is page 2. And so you can kind of look at that. They're the same questions that I just read off to you. So you can kind of write in here and answer these questions and think about it. Who do you need to be in order to achieve this goal? If you are going back to the exercise one, then you need to believe that you are a person that can go to the gym 5 days a week, or that you are a person that is going to commit to exercising 5 days a week. Thinking about what you need to learn. Maybe it's, if you're building the website, something that you might need to learn is about different hosting sites. What are the different options? Which one works better for me? Do I need a website designer, or can I do this on my own? So make a list of the different things that you need to learn in order to achieve that goal. And then also, what do I need to believe? Am I believing in myself that I am capable of doing this? Do I believe, let's use my starting a business, for example. I had to believe that I could start and grow my business. I had to believe that I was going to find clients and be able to bring in revenue in order to sustain a living. I had to truly, honestly believe those things. And so make a list of those things that you really have to believe. You can put them here. And the last thing I want to show you is down here at the bottom of this page is, do I have the resolve for this goal, or am I 100% committed? You can circle yes or no here and then say why or why not. If you're not 100% committed, that's okay. Write that down and maybe save this goal for a later time when you are 100% committed, or go back again and figure out ways that make you more committed to achieving this goal. All right, so the next thing is goal mapping. And this is really important because this is kind of where commitment to achieving this goal comes in. So you need to think about, what steps do I need to take in order to reach this goal? And then start thinking about, what time frame will I achieve this goal in? So again, we talk about the 90 days, 60 days, 1 year. I really tried to put most of my goals in a 90-day period because, again, it gives you enough time to actually accomplish something, but it's not enough, or it's not too much time that you lose sight of the goal. So like 90 days from now is mid-March. It's real quick. It's not that far away. Think about how fast December has flown by. So just think about that and use that as kind of a guide as you start goal mapping. And so we're going to go back to the worksheet now. I'm going to show you the goal timeline sheet. This is what I use for goal mapping. So earlier we wrote out all of those steps that we needed to accomplish in order to hit our goal. So this is where you're going to type in or write in each one of those steps. So step 1, step 2, steps 3, and so on. And then you're going to give yourself a due date for each one of those steps. And you're going to write in those due dates. Maybe each week you have a step that you have to achieve. Maybe every 3 days, whatever it is for your goal. But just make sure that they're consistent and that you're not, overloading yourself in the beginning or overloading yourself in the end, that it really is pretty evenly spread out over that time period. And then as you go through the process and you complete each one of those steps, check off the box here, or better yet, cross the line out, whichever works best for you. I'm a big line crosser. I don't know what it is, but it's really gratifying to me. So use that as a checklist to mark off each one of those steps as you get closer. And there's 2 things that I want you to do with this page after you've filled it out. There's a space here at the very bottom, and it's a space to sign and date it. And it says, by signing above, I am agreeing to be 100% committed to achieving this goal. So after you've filled this sheet out, I want you to sign and date that. And you are committing to yourself that you are going to achieve this goal. And because so many of us struggle to keep commitments to ourselves, I want you to do one more step. I want you to make a copy of this sheet, and I want you to give it to somebody who's really important in your life, somebody who you trust and value and that will hold you accountable. And I want you to give this to them and ask them to be your accountability partner. Ask them to check in with you regularly. Maybe it's once a week, maybe it's once every 2 weeks. Check in with you and just have them check in and say, hey, have you achieved this goal? I see it was due last week. Where are you at? Have them hold you accountable. But make sure that when you're doing this, it's somebody that you're comfortable with getting feedback from and that you're comfortable with having them kind of hold you accountable. It's really, really important that it's somebody that you trust and respect and you have open lines of communication with. So this is the thing that you're going to use to make yourself committed. And it maybe tape this up on your bathroom mirror that you look at every morning, or on your fridge or your front door as you walk out every day. Use it there so that you see it every day, or maybe you put it in your journal and you check something off every week. Whatever it is, just tape it up somewhere that makes it really visible that you have to look at every single day. It's really important. Okay. So here is where I think people start to get a little overwhelmed or a little scared. They're like, okay, Nika, it's great. You have told me how to, organize my goals. You've told me how to break it all out and calendar it, but I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I'm good enough, or I don't, there's issues. I don't have enough time, all of these things. Well, remember earlier when I said we were going to talk about beliefs versus truths, and how when I started to understand that, it completely changed how I manage my mindset? Well, this is that part. We're going to talk about that now. So we have been taught that false assumed truths, also known as beliefs, are facts, when in reality, they are not. So let me read that to you one more time. We have been taught that false assumed truths, aka beliefs, are facts, when in reality, they are not. And so let me give you 2 really good examples of this. So we use these as ways to talk ourselves out of doing something. So here is a belief or a false assumed truth. I want to lose weight, but I don't have time to go to the gym. That is false. That is not a fact. That is just a belief or a false assumed truth that we are telling ourselves. In reality, you absolutely do have time to go to the let me say that again. Sorry. You absolutely do have time to go to the gym. You've just chosen to prioritize something else instead. So maybe you're picking watching your favorite TV show. Maybe you're picking, coffee with friends, or whatever it is. You're just prioritizing something else instead. Or better yet, you don't even have to go to the gym. You can find time to do it in your living room. You can do sit-ups and push-ups and squats and things like that. So that saves you even more time. You just have to decide to make getting in shape or working out a priority. So let me give you another example. So another example of a belief or a false assumed truth. I'm never going to be good enough, or let me start again, sorry. I'm never going to have enough money to travel the world. Well, that's actually false. So first thing, fact, you're actually choosing to spend the money on something else. So for me, I choose to spend my money on Starbucks or maybe a nice pair of high heels or things like that. Whatever it is, you're choosing to spend your money on something else. Maybe it's cable TV or the NFL ticket or something like that. Whatever it is, that's what you're choosing to spend your money on, opposed to saving it to go on this trip. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You should spend the money the way that makes you happy or that you need to for your family. But you just need to understand that that's not necessarily a truth. The other thing to understand is that you can always earn more money. Money is actually a thing of abundance. You can always get more of it. You can always earn more of it. And so understanding what belief is versus truth is really, really important here. So don't let yourself talk yourself out of something simply because you're telling yourself a belief and not something that's actually factual. Okay, and the other tool that I use with my clients or with myself is something called fear setting. And now I cannot take credit for fear setting because it's not something I created. It's something I actually learned from a mentor that I really look up to. His name is Tim Ferriss. You may have heard about him. He's really big in the personal development world, the entrepreneurial world. He's written a bunch of books, but he created something called fear setting, and it's really a game changer when you actually go through the process. And I really want you guys to use this as a tool for you to help you work through the process and just be motivated moving forward when you're trying to reach your goals. So the first thing that happens in fear setting is you actually need to define the fear. So a lot of times what happens is that when you pick a goal that you want to achieve, you get really scared. You get afraid of doing something. So I'll give you an example. Is when I decided that I wanted to quit my 9-to-5 and start my own business, I was terrified. I was so scared that I wasn't going to be able to start the business, that I wasn't going to make enough money to support my family, that I was going to lose my house and be homeless and you name it, the whole thing that goes with that. But what I actually did is I took some time to actually sit down and do fear setting. I defined the fear. What was the worst thing that could happen? And in an example, starting my business, the worst thing that was going to happen was that I didn't make enough money and I wouldn't be able to pay my mortgage, and then my daughter and I would be homeless. That was my biggest fear. So then the next step is to prevent the fear. How do I prevent that from happening? So I wrote down the things I needed to do to prevent that from happening. The biggest thing was that I needed to make money. I needed to find clients. I needed to, bring in some revenue so that I could pay my bills. And so the thing I did to prevent the fear was make a list of all the potential people that I could go after as potential clients when I first started. And then I also came up with ways that I was going to market myself to hopefully bring in new clients. And that's an ongoing process. It's something I continue. But it removed the fear a little bit because I started to realize that I had the ability to bring in some revenue as I was starting my business. So the next step is to repair the fear. If the worst thing does happen, how can I fix it? And so back to starting my business. So say I started my business and I didn't bring in the revenue or the clients that I thought I might be able to, and I wasn't able to pay my mortgage, and I lost my home, and my daughter and I were going to be homeless. Well, how did I fix that? So I could live in a homeless shelter for a while until I found another job and made some money and got an apartment, got back on my feet. I could call a family member and ask them if I could stay with them for a little bit until I got back on my feet. I could go work at, a fast food restaurant or a bar or something just to make some money on the side while I was doing that, or I could give myself a time limit that I have 90 days to find some clients. If I don't find clients in 90 days, then I have to start applying for full-time jobs again. So I came up with different things that I could do if the worst thing happened, how I could fix that. And that alone started to remove the fear of reaching my goal of starting my business. And so I want you guys to go through the same process. Use the fear setting process to alleviate those fears, to remove them from your conscious thought. Use this process. I promise you it really does work. And I'm not going to say that all of the fear goes away completely, but what you're able to do is start to say, hey, fear, you're here, I see you, but here's a response. I'm going to ignore you, fear, because I've already come up with my response for you. And you can start changing your mindset and using it as a tool to overcome those fear moments when they pop up, because they're bound to pop up. They happen to everybody. And don't feel bad or don't be hard on yourself when they do pop up, because it's totally normal. It happens to everybody. I still face it all the time. Okay, so then the next thing to do with fear sitting is actually making a list of the possible benefits. So the good news is this is actually something that I've already had you do. So remember back when we talked about creating a list of reasons in order to reach the goal, or reasons why you should reach the goal? This is it. This is the possible benefits if you are successful or potentially successful at achieving the goal. So it's part of fear setting, but it's something I've already had you do. So the next part here is talking about possible costs of inaction. And the good news is, again, I've already had you do this activity. So earlier we talked about doing consequences, or thinking about the consequences of not hitting those goals. So another way of saying that is, what is the possible cost of inaction? So in other words, if you avoid doing this thing, what might you miss out on? So again, I talked about starting my business. If I didn't start my business, I wouldn't be able to change lives of people in the way that I wanted to help them. I wouldn't be able to make that impact in the world. I wouldn't be able to manage my schedule and manage my time. I wouldn't be able to spend time with my daughter. Those are really motivational factors for me. And so I want you to come up with what the possible cost is of inaction for you not achieving the goal. Think about it in a period of 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 3 years from now, and maybe even 10 or 15 or 20 years from now. What are the possible costs of not achieving your goal? This is so motivating, and I really, really hope you guys take some time to actually go through this process and think about it as you do your goal setting process. Okay, so we're coming up to the end here. But this is a quote that I really, really hope you stick on the wall somewhere, that you really, really think about. Because to me, it was kind of an aha moment. It really changed things for me. And the quote is, are you interested in achieving your life's biggest goals and dreams, or are you committed to achieving them? If you're only interested, you're probably not going to achieve them. If you decide to be 100% committed, draw that line in the sand, say, there is no way I'm turning back on this. That's your motivation. That's going to help you achieve the goal and make those transformations in your life. It's going to allow you to start to achieve the life and the self and maybe the business and career that you want to have. It'll give you that power that you need standing behind you. So again, are you interested in achieving your life's biggest goals and dreams, or are you committed to achieving them? It's really, really important to think about that as you go through this process. So final thing that we need to talk about here is goal achievement. So I talked about it earlier, and I really guys want you to think about it as you go through the process. So again, there is a spreadsheet here. It's all about what you're going to do when you achieve the goal, how you're going to celebrate it, and how it's going to make you feel, or how has it changed your life when you achieve this goal. So you don't really have to do this now. It's something that you probably want to do after you've started to achieve the goal, or at the very end. But definitely take some time to look at this and think about it and celebrate the goal once you've achieved it. Do something special. Even if it's just the smallest moments along the way, those things deserve recognition, because it's not easy. Nothing is ever easy when you're doing something like this. But celebrate those. Go get ice cream, go get coffee, have a party, whatever it is that makes you happy. Celebrate those achievements. Take some time, because the thing you'll start to find is that you'll work towards this goal, and then you hit the end and you're like, okay, I achieved it. Now what?
you need to celebrate it. Make it a lasting moment, because that will motivate you to start achieving the next goal and the next goal and the next goal. And this is where the last part comes in. Go for more. Once you've completed your first 1 or 2 goals, try completing some more. Use the process for each goal that you go and achieve. And I've actually created a tracking spreadsheet for you. So this is the second download here. This is the goal setting tracking. And so you can track all of your goals. So back to this worksheet, you can print this out as many times as you want. Do this process for each and every single goal that you have. And then maybe make a binder of all your goals and use this to track your goals. You can do your self goals, you can do your lifestyle goals, and I did happen to include the business goals. Again, you can do this as a career goal if you don't have your own business, but do those as well. Write those goals down, write down the due dates, and then check them off. Do this for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is. Do it for your lifetime and start looking back at all the things, the amazing goals and the things that you've accomplished over time, because it's a ripple effect. It will continue to motivate you. As you achieve one, you'll be excited to achieve the next, but it's really important to always look back and look at the achievements, the things that you've already done. You are really amazing and you need to be recognized for that. So I want to tell you my 2 big goals. I have tons of goals, lots of things I'm always working on, but my 2 big goals in life after I've done this whole process is 2 things. 1, I want to create as many success ripples as possible. And that means that I want to help as many people. I want to help you, as many people as I can, be as successful as possible. If I can help you create success, then the likelihood of you helping somebody else create success is very big, and it creates ripples, and it creates happiness, and it creates positivity. And I don't mean to sound all, frou-frou here, but it really does matter. I really want to help people be as successful and happy as possible. So my goal is to create as many success ripples as possible. And my second goal in life is to always own my time. I have worked for lots of other people, and while I'm grateful for that time, and I'm grateful for the experience and the lessons and the skills and knowledge that I've learned from that, the biggest takeaway is that I want to own my own time. I want to be able to do the things I want to do when I want to do them, and I want to live life on my terms. So that is one of my main goals, is to always live life on my own terms and own my time. So that is it. That is the goal setting process. I really, truly hope this has been beneficial for you. There are a ton of other free resources on my website. You can go to Nika Laurie. It's nikalaw.rie.com. There's lots of free resources you can download there. Again, you can also check out the Influencer Social Club. There's a bunch of free resources on that site as well. And please always feel free to email me. You can email me at info@nikalaurie.com. Ask me any questions you want. Give me feedback. If this was useful, let me know. If it wasn't, let me know too, because it's really important for me that this is useful and a powerful tool for you. I am here to support you. I want to help you transform your life. And as always, thank you so much, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good day. Bye.